When you walk up to a register, pull out cash, and the cashier looks at you and says, "We do not accept cash, cards only," almost every person does the same thing. They put the cash back, they reach for their card, they pay the way the store wants them to pay without asking a single question. Because it feels like store policy, and store policy feels non-negotiable. Because there is a line behind you, because the cashier said it with the confidence of someone who says it 20 times a day and expects no pushback. Here is what almost nobody knows. Whether a store can legally refuse your cash depends on where you are, what the transaction is, and what specific protections exist in your state or city. The federal legal tender law is real, but it is widely misunderstood. Several states and major cities have passed laws specifically requiring businesses to accept cash. And even where cash refusal is technically permitted, there are steps you take at the register that document the refusal, protect your consumer rights, and in some jurisdictions give you legal standing to force the transaction. You do not have to put the cash back. You have to know what to do instead. Today, I am going to show you exactly what federal legal tender law actually says and what it does not say, which states and cities legally require businesses to accept cash, the exact steps you take at the register when your cash is refused, and the words you say before you leave that protect your rights and create a documented record regardless of what happens next. Hit subscribe right now because this channel gives you the knowledge that protects you in moments where most people assume the other side is right simply because the other side sounds confident. Share this with one person before this video ends, someone who has been turned away from a register because they paid with cash and never thought to question whether the store had the right to do that. Here is the reality most people are never taught. Federal law states that United States currency is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Most people hear that phrase and conclude that every business must accept cash for every transaction. That conclusion is incorrect, and it is important to understand exactly why. The key word in the legal tender statute is debts. A debt is an obligation that already exists. If you owe someone money and you offer to pay them in United States currency, they generally cannot refuse that payment and then claim you still owe them. That is what the federal legal tender law protects. A retail transaction at a point of sale is not a pre-existing debt. It is a new contract being formed in real time. And in that context, federal courts and the Treasury Department have confirmed that private businesses are generally free to set their own conditions for payment, which can include refusing cash. This is the federal picture. It is not the end of the analysis. Here is where the law gets specific in ways that actually help you. Several states and cities have passed laws that go further than federal law and specifically require businesses to accept cash from customers. New Jersey requires all retail establishments to accept cash. Massachusetts law has been interpreted to require cash acceptance in most retail transactions. Philadelphia passed a cashless ban ordinance requiring most food and retail businesses to accept cash. New York City passed a similar law prohibiting cashless establishments in most retail and food service contexts. San Francisco has a similar ordinance. Washington, D.C. has one as well. If you are in one of these jurisdictions and a store refuses your cash, they are not exercising a policy right. They are violating a local or state law. That is a completely different situation, and it is handled differently at the register and after the register. Even outside these jurisdictions, the refusal creates a documented consumer record that has uses beyond the immediate transaction. Here is what the bad way looks like. Customer in New Jersey walks up to a register with cash. Cashier says, "Cards only." Customer puts the cash away, pays with a card, and leaves. Customer was in one of the few states where cash refusal is actually illegal. They had a legal right to pay with cash. They simply did not know it, and the store counted on that. Here is what the good way looks like. Same customer, same cashier, same refusal. Before the cash goes back in the wallet, the customer says this calmly: I want to note that New Jersey law requires retail establishments to accept cash. I am offering legal United States currency for this purchase. If you are refusing it, I am requesting your manager's name, and I will be filing a complaint with the New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs. Then the customer waits. In most cases, in a jurisdiction with a cash acceptance law, that statement resolves the situation immediately. The cashier either does not know the law, in which case the manager does, or the manager does not want a consumer affairs complaint on record for a policy that has no legal standing. The transaction completes with cash. Drop a comment right now and tell me, has a store ever refused your cash payment? Tell me what state you were in and what happened. I want to know how many people have been turned away from a register in a jurisdiction where that refusal was actually illegal. If you are still here, hit the like button, because what comes next covers what to do in states where cash refusal is currently permitted and why the steps you take at the register still matter even when the law does not require the store to accept your payment. Here is what you do in a state that does not yet have a mandatory cash acceptance law. Step 1. Before leaving the register, you say this: I am offering United States currency for this purchase, and you are refusing it. I want the name of this store's corporate customer service line so I can document this refusal. Your documentation may not force the transaction today, but it creates a paper trail of a refusal that, depending on the circumstances, may be relevant to a consumer complaint or a chargeback if you paid with a card under protest. Step 2. If you are unbanked or underbanked and cash is your only payment option, the refusal causes you real harm. Document the refusal in writing. Note the date, the store name, the location, the approximate time, and the name or employee number of the cashier if visible. File a complaint with your state attorney general's Consumer Protection Office describing the situation and the harm the refusal caused you. Some states are actively tracking cashless refusals as part of broader consumer protection enforcement, even where no specific cash acceptance law yet exists. Step 3. If the purchase was for something you needed and you had no alternative, note the refusal and purchase the item elsewhere. Then report the refusal through the store's corporate feedback channel. Companies that refuse cash face public relations consequences and regulatory attention in an environment where cashless discrimination against low-income and unbanked consumers is receiving increasing legislative scrutiny across the country. Let me tell you about Donna. Donna is 67 years old, lives in Philadelphia, and does not use a bank account. She relies exclusively on cash for everyday purchases. She walked into a fast casual restaurant near her home and was told at the register that they did not accept cash. She had no card. She left without eating. Philadelphia's cashless ban ordinance requires most food and retail businesses to accept cash from customers. The restaurant Donna visited was in direct violation of city law. Donna did not know the ordinance existed. The cashier did not offer to help. Donna simply left. A social worker she met later told her about the Philadelphia ordinance and helped her file a complaint with the city's Department of Licenses and Inspections. The restaurant received a notice of violation. They updated their payment policy. Donna told the social worker that if someone had told her those 2 sentences to say at the register, she would have said them. She had nothing to lose and no reason not to. She simply did not know the ordinance existed or that she had standing to enforce it. Donna now knows. After this video, so do you. 2 legal foundations make everything in this video exact. Title 31 of the United States Code, Section 5103, establishes that United States currency is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Federal courts and the Treasury Department have confirmed that this statute does not compel private businesses to accept cash for new point-of-sale transactions in the absence of a pre-existing debt. The federal law protects debt repayment. It does not universally mandate cash acceptance. State and local mandatory cash acceptance laws in New Jersey, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, New York City, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and a growing number of other jurisdictions create specific legal obligations for businesses operating in those locations to accept cash from customers. Violation of these laws is subject to consumer complaints, regulatory enforcement, and in some jurisdictions, financial penalties. Your knowledge of the specific law in your jurisdiction is the difference between a refusal you can challenge and one you cannot. Here is the complete recap. Federal legal tender law does not automatically require every business to accept cash for every transaction, but state and local laws in a growing number of jurisdictions do. If you are in New Jersey, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, New York City, San Francisco, or Washington, D.C., and a store refuses your cash, they are violating a specific law, and you have standing to say so at the register and report it afterward. The moment your cash is refused, you say this: "I am offering legal United States currency for this purchase. If you are refusing it, I want to know whether this location has a policy against cash, and I will be documenting this refusal and filing a complaint with the appropriate consumer protection authority." In a mandatory acceptance jurisdiction, name the specific law. In any jurisdiction, document the refusal and file a complaint that creates a record. In both situations, you leave the register having put the refusal on the record rather than simply accepting it. Think about one person in your life right now, someone older, someone unbanked, someone who relies on cash and has been turned away from a register and had no idea the store might have been breaking the law when they did it. Share this video with them today, not later, right now. The sentences you just learned take 10 seconds to say, and they are the difference between being turned away and being served. Next week, I am covering what happens when a debt collector calls and uses pressure phrases that are illegal under federal law, what collectors can and cannot say, what your validation rights are, and the one letter that stops all contact permanently under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Subscribe so you catch it the day it drops. Hit the like button if this changed how you will handle the next time a cashier tells you cards only. Drop a comment telling me what state or city you are in and whether you knew before today that some jurisdictions legally require businesses to accept cash. Know your rights, use them, stay safe.